We start with breaking news from the United States. The FBI says former President Donald Trump has been the subject of another apparent assassination attempt. Trump was at his golf club in West Palm Beach in Florida when the shots were fired. The course was immediately locked down. Authorities have detained a person of interest, as they're putting it. This comes almost exactly 2 months after a bullet grazed the former president's ear at a rally in Pennsylvania. A suspect was stopped driving an SUV on a highway in Florida not far from the golf course. The head of the local sheriff's department in the area says the driver, a male, turned himself in peacefully.
Two of my marked units picked up the vehicle. We followed it for a bit. We were able to contain it using some of our bigger vehicles that we use for specialized stops. We got the vehicle stopped. Since then, the FBI and the Secret Service have responded to the scene. It does appear that we certainly have the vehicle involved in the incident at Mar-a-Lago, and we have the suspect that they were looking for. And now the FBI and the Secret Service will take over that investigation.
And DW Special Correspondent Aya Ibrahim is in Washington for us. Aya, what more can you add to what's known about this?
This is pretty shocking announcement that was just made by the FBI that they are looking into this as an attempted assassination attempt when the investigation into the first assassination attempt, which happened just a little over 2 months ago at a campaign event in Butler, Pennsylvania, is yet to be concluded. The investigation into that incident is yet to be concluded. And for the former president to now be the subject of another assassination attempt is quite shocking, and certainly adds a new twist in what has already been a very turbulent campaign season. In terms of the incident itself, we know that the former president was golfing at the time at his golf resort in Florida, not far away from Mar-a-Lago, his resort where he spends a lot of time when he's not on the campaign trail. We know that a person of interest has been taken in by authorities, but we don't have any details as to who that person is exactly. We know that he's a male, but we do not have any more concrete information as to the motivation or the political affiliation or what may have driven this person to try and assassinate the former president. We know that the former president has now been taken to his home in Mar-a-Lago and that he is safe.
Okay, Aya. Trump was on a golf course at the time. What do you know about this particular spot where he was, this place?
Well, we know that the Secret Service had actually, voiced multiple concerns about the president at that golf course, as it is still open to the public and apparently a difficult area to secure. But we know that the president, according to unconfirmed sources in the media, was between hole 5 and 6 on the golf course. We know that he was with a close financial supporter of his campaign, but it is a Sunday and it wasn't, a particularly campaign-driven day. He was just out on the golf course golfing when the incident took place. And we know that in the vicinity as well of the attack, an AK-style weapon has been found.
What have the reactions been in Washington, D.C. to this news?
Well, both President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, the current Democratic nominee for president, are in the White House, are in Washington today. They're not. She's not out on the campaign trail. They've both been briefed on the incident, and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have both issued statements, expressing relief that the former president has not been hurt, and reiterating statements that we've heard them say after the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, in Pennsylvania, which is that violence has no place in American politics. But certainly, this does add another twist to the turbulence and the shocking news that has accompanied this campaign season.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there was an attempted assassination on Donald Trump in July, around 2 months ago. Talk to us, if you could, about the criticism that the Secret Service came, I guess, security-wise around that incident and possibly what's going to happen now after this second apparent assassination attempt.
Right. So the first assassination attempt was, well documented with cameras and video as it happened at a public rally for the former president, Donald Trump. The Secret Service, as you mentioned, had come under a lot of criticism because there were eyewitness reports that the person who tried to assassinate the former president was actually spotted by eyewitnesses, that reports by people present at the rally were ignored by authorities. Our viewers will remember that it was, the bullet came very, very close to the former president's head and that it missed him by just a very small space, and that after he sort of went down, he then got up again and said to his, with his head sort of bloodied from that bullet, he said, "Fight," and that became a very iconic moment for a lot of his supporters, interpreted as a sign of strength. And Donald Trump has issued a statement after the current assassination attempt, saying that he is grateful for the support of his followers and that he will always love them. The first assassination attempt was very much used by the Republican camp and the Donald Trump campaign in their accusations against the Democrats, that the Democrats have, that assassination attempt was a result, according to the Trump campaign, of hateful rhetoric coming from the Democratic Party. And I wouldn't be surprised if this particular second attempt, this particular incident, the second assassination attempt, will be used in a similar way to try and rally up more support for the former president, and that, soon in the next hours we'll be hearing a lot of finger pointing at the Democratic camp, somehow being, having played a role in any of this. But we have to emphasize that we just have no idea yet. There's just have not been any confirmation as to the motive of the person who, now tried to attempt the former president. We have no evidence that there's any kind of involvement from the Democratic camp, be it direct or indirect. But certainly the incident will be, I wouldn't be surprised if it is instrumentalized already in the next hours for the benefit of the Trump campaign.
Let's talk about this a little bit more. As you say, it is very, very early days. The US presidential election is a matter of weeks away, less than 2 months. What kind of impact could this have on the race between Trump and Harris?
Well, it certainly just adds just another layer of violence and, suspicion, tension, whatever you want to call it, to a campaign that has already been characterized by so much vitriol and attacks, rhetorical attacks between the two candidates. I mean, as we saw in the presidential debate last week, they both attacked each other as, if one can summarize it as being the worst thing that could happen to this country. This is just a highly polarized country right now ahead of this election. And, now with yet another assassination attempt on one of the candidates, when the first assassination attempt, as I have been mentioned, has not yet even been investigated thoroughly. I mean, this just adds another layer of tension and another layer to that polarization that this country is already going through ahead of this election.
Thanks very much, Aya. That was Aya Ibrahim, our special correspondent in Washington, D.C, bringing us up to date with the news of the FBI saying that former President Donald Trump has been the subject of an apparent assassination attempt during a shooting incident at his golf club in Florida, after which a suspect has been taken into custody. The former president is said to be safe. Aya Ibrahim, thank you.